Well, good afternoon to everybody present over here. Thank you very much for joining us for this unique project, which we had experimented, and we will explain to you how the things were going on. And this was a project where we had actually no experience, but as a matter of fact, what had happened was that the idea was received, and we said that how COVID-19 and the pandemic situation can be defeated. And I don't hesitate in saying that our two stalwart artists from Austria, Marlene Reichel. Hello, Marlene, how are you? And Dr. Chavi Asrani. Chavi, are you there? I can't see you.
Namaste.
Namaskar. Thank you. So they have really proven to be the sources who have really, defeated this situation and come out very, very successfully. And now the background of this particular project, I don't want to really give you now as such, but it will come over the talks itself. And let the artists and let the moderators, they can, come out with it and give us the background. But before I move further, I have to present my gratitude, extend all my gratitude and thanks to one main person, without whose intervention this project would have never been realized. And that is Mr. Matthias Radostej, who is the Charge d'Affaires of the Austrian Embassy. An artist himself, and at the same time a musician, love for music. I'm really grateful that he provided us this opportunity. Not only opportunity, but also he could, help us with the financial background for this particular project. May I request Mr. Radostej, before we move further, to kindly say a few words and explain something about the project and welcome our audience who are with us now.
I have to turn on my mic. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Munish, indeed. Thank you for those kind words. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for participating. A particular welcome, obviously, to our two participating artists. Well, first of all, I have to emphasize that obviously the driving force behind the whole project was not me, but it was Munish. It's true that I helped out with the finance a bit, but other than that, Munish is the driving force behind this cultural forum. Now, concerning this project, as you pointed out, indeed, it was an experiment, and it proved all the more important because the pandemic while this project was running, actually the pandemic in India worsened. So we had a lot of live events during the first 3 months of this year, but still we also went digital because we thought in these times a lot has gone digital, so we have to follow both digital and live. And it turned out in that event, it turned out to be a big advantage that we went digital because, as you know, India was hit by a very massive, extremely strongly wave of of COVID from, say, mid-March, beginning of April on. And we could not have done anything else but digital in that sense. And I understand from our Indian artists that even being digital was a challenge because material was not readily available. There was a very serious lockdown, etc. So I think it has been quite a challenge for us, and I'm happy particularly to see all our Indian participants and friends happy and healthy and still around, because many people unfortunately are not anymore. It's been it's been an experiment for us as well. We are following this we've been following this experiment closely, particularly through those snippets that were sent every week, more or less. So also people who were following us on social media could follow the progress. And I think that was also a very important part of this project, that you don't only see the result, but you also see how the results come about and what the artists do and think while they produce this. And well, we will learn more from the artists now, what they did and the thoughts behind this and why they did this particular project. And yeah, thank you very much, everyone, for participating. Thank you for supporting us. And we're looking forward to hearing the voice of the really important people, which are the artists themselves. So thank you very much.
But thank you very much. There was a technical snag, Mr. Radostich. Thanks a million for those nice and kind words. And before we move any further, I like to make a small little announcement that, you know, I mean, since both the artists are quite well versed in their field and they're quite well renowned, and at the same time, you see, I don't hesitate in calling them the stalwarts. I'll not be the right person to interview them or, you know, to take out the facts from them out. So likewise, what I have done is, you know, the Cultural Forum has requested 2 such moderators who will help us in navigating the session today. I would like to invite first Mr. Kasi M. Raghib, who is a creative director and arts-based in charge in the National Herald, and he has been connected with the art and critic world for the last 3 decades. He has been working with the daily newspapers like the Sahara, and, you know, has been working with the magazines like India Today and Sunday Mail, and, you know, now he's connected with National Herald. I'm sorry, Mr. Akazi, the problem is that your biodata is so huge that, you know, it's if I start reading them, you know, or reading line by line, I think so we will end up session reading your biodata. So I'm really sorry, but it's really an honor. It's really an honor, and it's really a great thing that you have come, and, you know, you are there, and we are really honored that you are the right person to, you see, have this whole session navigated. Now, along with you, we have another stalwart, again in the field of art, but who is also a multifaceted personality. He is Mr. Akshay Tyagi. I don't see Mr. Tyagi here. Can I see Mr. Tyagi?
Yeah, he's visible.
Yeah, hello, Mr. Tyagi. Thanks a lot for coming. And again, you know, I will be very, very apologetic to you also that the biodata which you have, it's so versatile that I would feel hesitant that even if a single line gets missed, But what I would like to say is that you are a diversity and inclusion enthusiast, a postgraduate from the JAMA Millia, a gold medalist at the same time in graduation and post-graduation. And the best part is that he is also working in and involved in the advocacy work for LGBTIQ. Actually, Mr. Tyagi, we had just 2 weeks ago conducted a seminar on LGBTIQ, where the people from India, the participants, and from Austria, they had participated and had a discussion. And they had a very serious discussion about Article 377, which was abrogated. So welcome on board. Thank you very much indeed. And I would now like to hand over the floor to both of you. And Marlene, all the best to you, and Chavi, all the best to you. And thank you very much once again for your hard work. And Chavi, especially you, because I would rather say this was a very difficult task, because one of our Indian artists who started the project had to leave because of the COVID-19 situation. And this was really a very pathetic situation. But at the same time, we were very happy that Chavi came on board and we could move ahead. Now, handing over to all four of you the floor, I would like to stop here because it's a feast of words which is waiting for us. So thank you very much, Mr. Kazi. May I kindly ask you to start and navigate the whole session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Mr. Manish Bahansab, and all the embassy people and His Excellency. And we have two special artists. One is from Australia, Marilyn Rachel, and one is from India, so Chavi. So both artists have done tremendous jobs in different way in this bad situation of COVID, and our subject is gender power. So first, I will introduce Marilyn Rachel. She has done very different work, especially she's mixing media things together. She's mixing sound, light, object, different element in a one artwork. It's a very unique artwork. Nobody is doing in India like that. It's a very different and difficult also to manage all these elements together in one composition. In the situation of COVID, she has done the tremendous job. And Marilyn, tell me please how the situation there, gender power in your country.
The situation of gender and power in my country?
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't understand you so good because of the internet connection. But the situation is really developing in a good way because it's starting to become more equal since a long time. Right now, it's not equal everywhere, but in certain fields, like at my university, it's really a good thing.
How you hook up with this situation of COVID there, and you are doing artworks and creativity? How you feeling? How you did this? How you started like the situation?
At first, with the COVID situation, it was a little difficult because I have two children. They are 7 and 10. And I had to take over most of the homeschooling, and there wasn't much space for my creativity, and there was a big break in that. But so I'm really happy that I was able to join the project because it got me in a creative flow again.
Okay, very nice. What is this? You are studying in a time-based media at the university. What is this relating to your artwork or your creativity, your composition?
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
You are studying in time-based media. So how you relate with your artwork?
I'm studying film and light and sound, and we are pretty open to develop our own projects, and we have a project every semester So we are creative half a year, and then we are presenting it to the rest of the university.
Very nice. Your artwork is definitely different. Whenever any painter and a sculptor, they make some scribble, they make some dummy before the artwork. How you started your artwork? Because so many elements in this, sound is there, light is there, maybe music is there, and different objects. Do you make some starting scribble or basic format on the paper to start your artwork?
I'm basically not starting with an artwork. When I get a new topic to work on, I start with a research and try to find out what is interesting for me about this, because I very often worked in a scientific aspect. I really like to explore. I like to put some physics aspects in my work, and so the technical side of a theme is really interesting to me. So I'm starting with research, and then I'm trying to find out what is the best way for me to work on this.
I can say this scientific creativity, you mean, like. Very nice, very different. And now we'll talk to Chavi now. Then we'll come back again to you. Okay. Chavi, she's a doctor, Chavi Israni, and she has done PhD in economics, and she is self-taught artist working under very renowned artist, Mr. Kapuria. She's working for the last 15, 16 years in this field, and she is creating different type of artwork in a digital format. So can you tell me about Chavi, how you are managing in this situation, how you are making your artwork in this?
Thank you, Mr. Kazi. The pandemic has been a very challenging time for everyone, but art is something that has been an avenue of solace. So amidst the lockdown, just trying to, play with colors or play with different types of art forms, whether it is installation or performance art, that is something that is really relaxing and keeping me sane during the pandemic. So when Mr. Bhal actually, reached out, and I'm very thankful for him for the same. And he said that, if I could take on the project from here on, because of certain glitches and the very strict lockdown in India, the other artists could not complete the artwork. So I was very happy to come on board. And the theme, particularly gender and power, really interested me. So I was very happy to be on the project.
You started making a Nareshwar painting.
Yeah. So as we know,
tell me about that painting.
Yeah. Yes. So as we know, the topic under the Anhat project that was given to me and Marilina was on gender and power. And I believe that gender is the first distinction of human identity. We could identify with our caste, with our religion, or with the regions that we stay in, or countries, and so many other aspects of social human life. But I think the first order distinction of the human race is particularly gender, whether you identify as a woman or as a man, or if you are identifying yourself with a third gender. So I believe that this world is going to be a more powerful place, more resilient place, if we have inclusion of people from all different identities. So gender, how we relate our identities with gender, is the first order distinction of human race. And dwelling that concept further, I tried to study Hindu philosophy a bit, and the theme that I developed my artwork was on Ardhanareshwar, which is also Lord Shiva. So Ardhanareshwar is a form of Lord Shiva where we have the both feminine and the masculine energies. And when we are talking about Prakriti, and we are talking about Shakti and Prakrit or Puran, so we must know that together women and a man, and of course yeah, whether it is the third gender, when we are all together, this world is going to be a more beautiful and inclusive place for everybody, and would make our societies more resilient when you will have different perspectives taking care of needs of everybody. And I think that will churn out a better path for development for all.
I've seen your artwork. There is a special element, or you can say the central focal point of your artwork. There is a mask, half is male and half is female, something like that. And there is a grid on the artwork, on the painting, on the digital artwork. So, what is the significance of that mask in the composition, and what is the importance of the grid? Why you are divided into, I think, 9 part or 12 part your artwork? What is the
12.
importance of that?
Just pardon me, I think the painting is here, but I think it's cutting. But yeah, you're right. There are 12 grids, as I shown you. And this is Mount Kailash, where, as per Hindu philosophy, Lord Shiva or Ardhanarishwar often resides. And the 12 grids, so you can see there are 4 grids here and then 4 by 3. So they are talking about the 4 different ashramas of life as per Hindu philosophy. And because we are talking about inclusion of all the gender, that is why this could be male, this could be female, this could be the third gender. So that was the basic idea behind putting the grids.
Okay, fine. It's very interesting. I will come back again to you. We'll ask, specify why your mask is on the corner, why this grid is connected to that mask and divided into a painting with different parts. Okay, now we'll talk to Mr. Akshay Tyagi. He studied in Jamia Development Communication, just as Mr. Munish Saab said. And that course is also covered a lot of things, media and social activity, social artwork, creativity. A lot of things are mixing with that diploma, because I was teaching also in that course. So I'm just asking Mr. Tyagi, what do you think about this? Your explaining about your community, the LGBTQ community, and what is the importance of gender power in your views?
Okay, so to begin with, I think the very first thing which we need to understand is that all that we know about gender is what is socially constructed. It is not something which is biological and which has been elaborated well to us. And it is primarily because our education system so far has not developed to that level that it can be elaborated to that extent. And that is why it is in recent times that we have started talking about the sex education. And in the last years, for that entire time, we have not had this entire system. Our leaders, our entire policymakers are not well versed about what is the specific need when it comes to the marginalized communities. So in our perception, the way stereotypically gender is defined is as male and female. We are not at all talking about the intersex people who are biologically born with a different sexual anatomy. We are entirely neglecting trans persons who are not biologically born as the person, as maybe intersex, as people who they want really themselves to express as. So all of these people have been completely neglected.
It's how can you say, like, artists, how can the artist can play the role to
yes, so I'm coming to that. So communication plays a very important role. It acts as a mediator in narrating those stories. Coming to my own self, when I started working for the LGBTQI community, I actually started with a photo book project, and that photo book project helped me showcase around 25 stories of 25 different people from
the community. That is a part of your curriculum also. Visual communication is a part of the paper.
Yes, yes. And that particular experience from the community helped me learn as an individual more. And I started pushing myself even further that if these people have these experiences, and these are just 25 people who I met for my project, there are around 2,500 more people in maybe 10 kilometers of my proximity, and even more than that in outside world. So they need people like us who can communicate on their behalf, who can advocate on their behalf, and who really they can feel that they feel that they are confident enough when we are speaking, we are advocating for their rights.
Artists are very important to communicate through their visual, through their painting. That is very important. So we should do some online exhibition or live exhibition to explain all this.
Yes, and
issues.
I'm glad to share with you that Mr. Kapuria is with us today on the call as well. And we have been hosting Inside Out Art exhibition, which is specifically for the queer people, which is for the LGBTQI plus community. And we had the fortune of having around 30 queer artists from India to showcase their art in our art gallery. And I think these are the steps which we need to make people feel aware, make people feel that there is sensitivity in them, not just about having people around us, but also appreciating them, appreciating their art, about the acceptance that they need, about the self-love, care, which we all talk about, but have been entirely neglecting when we are talking to LGBTQI plus community in specific. And that is why it is important to push ourselves to make effective communication. It can be art, it can be a blog, it can be a social media. And as an ally, we all need to come forward. We all need to push the messages of
Yes,
our
absolutely.
friends and family members to push this message forward.
Thank you. Very nice thought. Very nice views. Yeah.
Universal theme, and it's not particularly confined to one particular job. Can you hear me now?
Now it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, I said definitely now what Mr. Tyagi has said, I totally agree, because it becomes now a sort of a voice now for which is beyond the borders or geographical boundaries of any country or state or anything. I would like to, talk something about our project when we started it, and our own experience as to what exactly was happening at that time. Was that we thought that during this pandemic situation, which was, and the after effects, or because of that, the lockdown which was been observed in Austria as well as in India. So we thought, okay, why not the two artists in their own country and in their own, atmosphere and their own, world, they could work on this particular title. And how they were working and what they were been working, we requested that, for our documentation, if they could send us snippets, small 1 minute, 2 minute snippets, which could, help us to understand how they are, coming up with the idea and what is really happening behind the camera or behind the curtain, And I'm really happy that, something very unique has come up. The result is fantastic. And before I go any further, we have, sort of accumulated those snippets, and we had, tried to make a small film out of it, which is not, I think, so 7 to 8 minutes. I'd like to share with every one of you, and I'd like to request for your patience. And because this also gives you an idea as to how Austrian Culture Forum moved ahead and how people they join, and what is the, the message which has come out of this particular project, which is no more an art project anyway. May I request my colleague to kindly start the film so that, we can all have an idea as to what exactly the project is about.
This project is also for us a very new thing that we haven't done before. So we will see what comes out of it. We are very we are very eager to see what the outcome is, and we are also eager to learn from our experiences in these projects for future cooperation. So it's kind of a first that we do. I don't know it's for our two artists, but definitely for our cultural forum. We have chosen a nice overall title for this project, which is Anhat, which I was told is a Sanskrit word and means the infinite. And we want to put this particular project here topic under the title Gender and Power. As you know, gender and gender equality is also one of the main focuses of the Austrian foreign policy, particularly in human rights fora at the United Nations, etc. Other than that, I would say we leave it completely to the two artists. We have just set up a few conditions. We wanted to last for about a month. We would just like to have short snippets from the artists of what they do once a week, 2-3 minutes that we could publish on our social media so that our followers can see the progress. And then have a final product that we somehow would like to publish on our social media and websites. So I wish you all the best. As I said, I hope it works out, but we are all available all the time.
I made a time plan yesterday so that I can prepare for the next 4 weeks, because I've never finished a project in such a short period of time. So this is a first for me. And it's also a first to interact only digitally. But it's going to be a really cool experience. And I'm very much looking forward to it, and also looking forward to exchanging with Mr. Das.
First of all, I say thank you to all of you and our embassy also, that they gave me a so precious opportunity for me.
Hello, my name is Marlene Reischl and I live and work in Linz, Austria. In my work I use a variety of media including installation, videos and sound. I was invited by the Austrian Embassy in New Delhi to collaborate in a digital art project with Indian artist Amit Das. Due to the pandemic we cannot meet in person but will keep exchanging through calls and texts. The given topic of the project is gender and power. Right now, I'm in the process of creating the concept for my artwork. I get inspired by a variety of influences, like other artworks, artists, books, or music. So I surround myself with some of those things and then start with research. My installation consists of 2 columns that represent the X chromosome and the Y chromosome in a minimalistic way. The most important function of chromosomes is to carry the basic genetic material. Each chromosome sculpture will be 2 meters high, and each of the 26 boxes is equipped with a LED light strip and can be controlled individually. In addition to the 26 light sources, a projection will be added on the surface. DNA provides genetic information for various cellular functions that are essential for growth, survival and reproduction of the organisms. I want to highlight the contrast between our biological foundation and our identity. The artwork should reflect this contrast with a strict geometric representation of the chromosomes on the one hand and playful projection covering it on the other hand.
So that was the documentation, and that's how our 2 artists, they were working during the lockdown situation, and they truly defeated the pandemic situation, and they brought out something very meaningful and a very successful thing. And I must say one thing is that what I perceive from my point of view is basically it's not only the artwork with these 2 artists have produced, but thereby they have also produced some meaningful messages like projecting unity in diversity. Distance is no longer an issue, and the message of humanity is common irrespective of caste, creed, and religion. And here I would like to add also the nationality point also. So I would really like to thank, on behalf of the Austrian Culture Forum and the Shastri Affairs of the Austrian Embassy, really a sincere thanks to both of you and for the hard work which you have really carried on. Now, before I continue with my, get carried away with my emotional speech or something, I would like to now request Mr. Tyagi, if he's there, to kindly interact with the artist and try to find out their point of view and how they were working and what they were thinking at that time when they were, working on their piece of exhibits. Mr. Tyagi, you there? Is he there? It seems Mr. Tyagi is not there. Sorry, coming back to you again, Mr. Kazi. Perhaps you can continue with the.
I think I would like to talk to Mr. Naresh Kapuria ji. He has seen both the film, both the artworks. So I want his views as a senior well-known artist in India. What he thinks about, especially Marlene work is very, very different. Mr. Naresh Kapuria sir, what do you say about the Marlene work? Mr. Kapuria, please open your audio.
You have to unmute Mr. Kapuria.
Yes, fine.
Wonderful work, sir. Wonderful work. Because I used to work in Austria. I see a lot of work there. But this is very important together with the light and sound. Great. And Chavi also done good job. I'm very happy to Munishji. Thank you very much. You're showing very, very fantastic things on this program. Thank you, Mr. Kazi. You are also very great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Kapuria. Indeed. Marlene, do you think we can have a look of your exhibit which you have made? Is it possible to see what the final outcome has been?
Yes, of course. I made a documentation video because when you use light, it needs to be dark outside, and in Austria it's only 12 midday. So I thought it would be best to make a documentation. I will try to play the video. I tried it before, but it didn't run smoothly. So, but yeah, let's just see what happens. And yeah. So did it work? I realized there's no sound, but did the visual work?
Very nice.
Thank you.
Well, Marlene, I think so. You need a special applause.
No doubt, no doubt. Yes, absolutely.
It is superb,
No doubt.
very nice, and
Thank you
very
very
thought-provoking, I would rather say. And what you could, do with the boxes and with the LED lights, and you can really present the whole life in that,
Yes, absolutely.
It's amazing. I mean, we are very lucky that we have a very famous gallerist who just spoke to us also, and he's an artist and curator, Mr. Naresh Kapuria, sitting next to us. Mr. Kapuria, I think so. Once the pandemic situation is finished, we should try to bring in Marlene and her work.
Sure, sir, sure.
In reality and
Yes.
project, and have it exhibited in your gallery.
Sure.
What do you say, sir?
It's very nice idea. Good idea.
Very good idea.
Because
Thank you.
this particular art piece, it should not be, lying somewhere in the room or,
No. We do
This-
something very
this-
great.
This is fantastic, I would rather say.
Yes.
It's out of the world. Thank you, Marlene. This was really, we are very appreciative about that work which you have
Thank you very
done. And this is something very nice, I would say.
Mhm.
And let's hope that once the situation is over and of course, the economic also cost, the economic situation gets better or the finances get better, then we get your work. At least your work comes to India and, goes to other
Delhi, Bombay.
viewers to observe also.
Publicize in India, even Indian artists can see what is happening outside the world.
That's right.
Yeah. And
That's
I think
nice.
it's looking like I was just thinking, if you show to straight away to someone, because we have seen your startup, how you're making, but in this particular film, it's looking like a USA computer graphic. Nobody can see it's created by the objects and sound. Yeah, it totally looks like a computer graphic. If you show the live, definitely it's super. It will be super. Even,
Thank you.
yeah.
May I request other viewers who are sitting over here, if they have any comments or any questions to ask our artists over here,
Yes, sir.
they're most welcome to join. I mean, feel free. This is our show at the moment. Is there somebody who would like to ask Marlene anything? Okay, with that, I see Chavi here. And Chavi, may I request you the same, if you could kindly, I know it is half cut, but do you think you can tilt your computer a bit so that we could have a better view of it? And we have seen how you work, but still, if you would like to say something about it, and especially I would like to know as such is what was going through, your mind as such when you were, given an opportunity, and that too also when an artist had to move out of the project and you had to continue. So, and you had to continue with a particular same topic and all. So, I mean, over to Chavi.
Firstly, Mr. Pal, of course, it was not good to see that somebody going out of a project due to the lockdown or the pandemic, or anybody leaving a project midway in distress. But yeah, we do have, at times, there are certain constraints which we need to be cognizant of. But I'm happy to take this project forward for the embassy. And now, developing my works on the theme gender and power, as I explained, my theme that I worked on was inclusion of of the human race of all identities. And here, the first distinction that human race experiences is with respect to gender, whether we are male, female, or trans, or the third gender. So to have more resilient societies, powerful societies, we all need to be included. And when we are talking about gender differences, they are not only biological, but as Mr. Tyagi said, that our social constructs, the societal constructs also shape a lot that how the expectation from a particular gender. So if we are able to have a society in a form where society accepts the differences, the biological differences, or the differences within how a particular gender feels or thinks about a particular situation, and are able to build up communities which are more sensitive to all of the human identities, I think that together as human race, we will be able to have development and advancement for everyone and create more inclusive places, which will be happier places to live in. Now, putting that, thinking on those lines, I worked on the theme of Ardhanarishwar, which is from the Hindu philosophy, where we have Shiv and the Shakti. Shiv is the masculine power, and Shakti is, of course, the feminine power. But to experience ekastasi, what happens that Ardhanarishwar or Shiv once is sitting in his meditation, and the Shakti or the Parvati, there is a conversation going between them, and she is asking him that what is he experiencing, and he talks about experiencing liberation and ekastasi, and she wants to experience that. So he pulls Shakti with him, and together as Shiv Shakti or Ardhanarishwar, they both together experience ekastasi. So if we include everybody in our society, that there is no exclusion in the society, then we human beings will be able to experience that ekastasi or the complete happiness per se. So whether we are talking about the masculine, or we are talking about the fairer gender, the feminine, or we are talking about the third gender, we need to understand that if we want to make this world a more happier place, we all need to be included, and that is the theme of my artwork. So here, this is the depiction of what I've tried to show this through my abstract works is. Depiction of Kailash, where Shiv actually experiences complete happiness or complete ekastasi, and that is what we as human beings would want to experience and live through. And I think that is only possible when societies are more inclusive.
Thank you, Chavi. Thank you very much. That was really very interesting and thought-provoking, I must say. Marlene, I'll come back to you and would like to know your experience as such while you started your work, and what was, your experience with the lockdown in Austria, and at the same time you working, and procuring the material and all. Tell us something about that.
Difficult ones.
So the lockdown in Austria, there were three lockdowns in total, and the last one ended, I think, in February, and we didn't have much restrictions since then, so I was free to go to the hardware store, and yeah, was no problem.
What was your experience? You see, I mean, while work experience means how you were, what was the thoughts which were, going through when you were, building up your own exhibit, and at the same time you also had to come out with the snippets and also tell us something more about your experience, please.
Yeah, I think gender and power are both very, very large topics and very political. So my contribution was a minimalistic piece of art, which is at first sight very abstract, but when you look closer, it resembles the X and the Y chromosome. And chromosomes are carriers of all of our genetic information. And the left one is the Y chromosome and the right is the X chromosome. So I was mostly trying to visualize that, and that at a lot of times in the world there are only two sexes, and the world thinks in binary terms, but gender relevance is a very, very interesting and very important topic. And I read a few studies and a few articles, and recent studies have shown that almost everybody is, to varying degrees, a patchwork of genetically distinct cells. Some with a sex that might not match that of the appearance and of the rest of the body. So some studies even suggest that the sex of each cell drives its own behavior through a complicated network of interactions in the molecules. So there's definitely a greater diversity than binary sexes within male and female. And also, well, gender and sex also is often shown in everyday experiences, the importance of it. Like if a girl wants to play soccer or a boy wants to dance ballet, if you have a very simple example, they are confronted with cliches and restrictions, even though those things have nothing to do with their sexual orientations yet. It's just what they want to do. But small children also face these everyday restrictions, and so I tried to build an installation that symbolizes the fluidity of gender, and yeah, and also the place in society, and that sex and gender don't define who we are or what we can do. And I wanted to show that and embrace the diversity of and variety of all existing personalities.
Thank you, Maline. That was really interesting what you said. Chavi, did you, while you were working on your project, did you get an opportunity, or for that matter, Marlene had an opportunity of interacting with each other, talking about your projects, or talking about something, you know, related to your projects? If yes, just come out, I mean, just tell us something about it. Would be interesting to know as such.
So when I was put on the project, I think we were already about 15 days had passed for the limited time. So I did have an opportunity to see Marlena's work on some of the social media pages of the embassy. And then later, of course, me and Marlena connected over WhatsApp, and we were exchanging our ideas. I was asking her about what she's working on and trying to understand more about her work, and did try to share about my work as well. So one thing is that technology did help us stay connected, and all thanks to the technology that we are all meeting today. So yeah, technology did
That's true, yeah.
interactions, yeah, and
I
staying
think,
connected.
Yeah,
both artists can give the views that Marilyn can give the views about Chavi, and Chavi can give the views about Marilyn Arto. What is her specialty? What is the quality? What is the difference? How it can be difference between India and Austria? Chavi, can you talk about Marina Arto?
So I've been watching Marina's work closely. I've been following her on the social media page, and of course on her own personal web page, and totally enjoying what she does. The way Marina has been playing with lights has been really inspiring for me. And the total installation that you've come up with is of course very interesting, depicting right, how the nature decides on gender, and having the entire light show around that. It's a very interesting concept and really intrigued me, and I'm very happy to see your work. A wonderful work.
Marina, can you say something about Chavi's work?
Yes, I saw her videos, and she sent me a PDF of her recent work, and I think it's a very nice way to work. It's a very cool style, and I really enjoyed it.
Yes. Yes, sir. Voice is not coming.
Mr. Adostej, if you would like to say something to our artist and the work which you have seen now, is it according to your satisfaction? Are you satisfied? And as they say, has the money been, the finance, or we call it in Hindi, paisa vasool? That means what we have spent on, has that money been, utilized in a proper manner, according to you?
Munish, I think that's the wrong question. If it's whether it is to my satisfaction or not is hardly any relevant, because the question is if it's lives up to the expectation of the greater audience or not. So I don't consider myself that important to measure it on with my standards. Anyhow, from my perspective, I can say I'm extremely impressed. I'm very glad that we did this project. It was indeed worthwhile. Yeah, what else? Yes, it has been. I think it has been a great investment, if you ask me. And yeah, I just can say thank you to the artists. Also, in particular, of course, Xavi for coming in at the later stage, which we appreciated a lot. And yes, I think there's nothing more to say. I think it was very thoughtful, had a lot of meaning, both of them, and was to the point. And thank you very much for participating.
Yeah, no, I totally agree to you that I mean, it's nothing to say as such. It's the arts and the exhibits, they speak themselves as to what they are conveying. They're such thought-provoking, and I'm really happy that we did this particular project and getting your support. And we also think that we'll keep getting your support in future to come out with some projects like that. Having said that, Mr. Kazi, I'm giving the floor to you so that you can invite audience questions or audience things so that we can, call session to slowly to an end.
Absolutely, anyone can ask question to Marina and Xavi. Because both artists are very different. So they can ask different questions. They can learn also. They can give their comment also. Anybody interested, please come on the floor.
Wanted to raise just a technical point from Marlene, since you depicted both the X and Y chromosomes. What you showed had both had similar lengths, while in actuality the X is much longer than the Y one. The Y is much shorter and which has lesser genes, so the horizontal lines also will be much less on the Y one. Just a point.
Yes, the chromosomes were sculpted by well, the general information was about. Sorry, I have to think about the English word for it. The structure of the DNA can be shown in different gradients. There are sketches about it, and I adapted them to put them in my installation.
No, I know about the different ways you can depict, but I'm talking about the length. Length of Y chromosome is much shorter than the X one.
Yeah.
But yours is almost similar length.
Yeah, I know it's much shorter, but it was for the artistic interpretation and to show, to visualize the fluidity. So I make them the same length so that the left and right is the same length and it can be exchanged more easily.
I think it's a design representation. Size does not matter. It's a composition matters. So I think she has done as per her composition, as per overall composition. You can say like that. Anyone?
Yes, sir. I want to ask a question.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello, yes.
I'm Geeta. My question is to artists. As Chavi has given a message and represented Indian culture, because Chavi's theme was Anhat. So there, it is said in Indian mythology there is Anhat. There is a kind of Nath since the in time immemorial. So my question is the second artist from Australia. What was in his mind? Okay, it is life. It is chromosome. So she is talking about the genesis or genes or life, how the life takes place, how the life is generated. But what is about this? Her thoughts or some kind of representation does she have in her mind regarding the gender equality? So what was in his mind? Because as I know, there were person who was moderator who were also want to know about this, but she represented it. Keep it very short. So what kind of representation is it? Is only about the life or something else about the different communities, different cultures, different nationalities? So why was it? Because I am from Indian culture, so I understand Chavi's work very well. But despite of that, from a scientific point of view or a biology, I want to looking for some different kind of representation except from the biology or and so what is kind of thought she has in mind except biology?
It's not only about the biology at all. It's chromosomes are something that we all have in common, no matter the gender and no matter the nationality. So this is something that connects us all because we all have them inside us.
Can I come in?
Yes.
Yes, sure.
My name is Professor Bhagwan Das. I want to compliment both artists. Very nice work, very beautiful way of representing gender equality. I'm a great fan of Dan Brown and I read his novels regularly. I'm sure Chavi would have also come across this concept of, in Chinese mythology. It depicts equality of the male and female gender. Also, the Star of David, according to Dan Brown, is nothing but representation of the male and female gender in one picture. So I think all cultures, all religions, they seem to espouse the complementarity of both the male and the female gender, also the equality between the two genders. And I would go one step further in Indian mythology and Indian history and civilization. I think Shakti worship was very strong. That we gave more importance to the female gender as compared to the male gender. Some of our societies are matriarchal, Kerala and West Bengal, and some of the northeastern states, they follow matriarchal societies. So it's nice that you chose to use art to showcase gender equality or mentality of genders. Great work.
Okay, thank you, Marklin. I appreciate your work. So, but I want to elaborate some kind of error. So, thank you. You put your point. It was the great work by both the artists, and I'm very different. So, so I like the different the two minds. How they interpret the same work but in a different manner. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir, for giving your own inputs also. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, definitely everybody is doing their own representation, own ideas. So any object, any element can be represented to anything. it's not a realistic work. You can see the figurative, your human figure is there. You can easily say, okay, this is woman, this is man, this is. So this is a representation of a theme. It does not require exactly the thing is there. But you can say this is my, people say the actually divide into composition in two parts. They say upper part is a sky, lower part is a earth. But just an illusion of a object. The same thing is in Marlene work. She's saying this is X chromosome, is Y chromosome. Variation, size does not matter. It's a presentation of a particular element in her composition. Same element is in the Chavi artwork. She
Are
has.
eager to watch.
Yes, please.
Some Zoom meetings are very easy to
Anyone?
watch.
Any question?
And you can
ऑफ करो ना सबको अनम्यूट करो म्यूट कर दो
Actually, artwork is a illusion. You have to create illusion for different theme on object, on particular space, particular canvas, particular size, particular frame. That's all. It's not a direct illustration. If you say he says this and he says that, this is creativity. Anybody can feel in a different way, but the same women, same chromosome, same theme, same concept in a different way. So that's why both the artists has totally different artwork, but theme is the same. So this is my views. And anybody wants to ask more questions? Hello.
Well, Professor Bhawandas, you had a question to ask. You have to unmute yourself, sir. You have to unmute first.
Yeah, I made some comments, but they're not audible. I thought I was speaking.
No, comments are there, but you had some question to ask also?
No questions. I was just I'm saying that what Chavi represented, Ardhanarishwar, is across all cultures, especially the Star of David, which shows the male and female unity. Also yin yang in the Chinese culture, which shows again the male and female unity. And what Chavi has chosen, Ardhanarishwar, is not just local, but it's also global. I appreciate the way she has brought into focus the unity of human life. I think we have to appreciate this equality and unity of purpose. And I think we have brought in unwanted divisions and narrow walls. But I think the nature, even the earth, the plus minus, the North Pole and the South Pole, and the magnetic forces that contribute to the life on earth. So I think science also says there's something called plus and minus, and they complement each other. So male, female, they complement each other. And that's very beautifully brought out by Chavi in that particular mask. This is a mask that Dan Brown has popularized. I've read all his novels, and I'm very impressed with the mask in the Inferno. And I think the Inferno is what we are all experiencing in the pandemic. I don't know how many of you are fans of Dan Brown, but I read his novel Inferno, and he talks about a virus being released to bring down population. And in that, the Dante's mask is shown, and he goes in search of Dante's mask. So I think I was reminded of Dante's mask by the mask that Chavi has painted. So great work, Chavi, and great work to the other artist, Madeline.
Thank you very much, Professor Das. Thanks a lot. Professor Kazi, do you think we have any more questions, or we just call an end to the session?
Anybody is welcome. They can ask questions, because both creativity is different, very interesting also. I think a lot of questions can rise. Anybody interested to ask more questions? Otherwise, we can finish now.
Hello.
Yes,
please.
Yes, Mr. Abhinav.
Hi. First of all, work, the mesmerizing work. They have completely shown a different dimension of imagination and life. But I just have a very small question. I do not belong to an artistic background, but I just want to ask a small question, that whenever gender and power comes in, so it is pointed towards the energy source, the fundamental energy source. So how do the artists actually correlate or comment on their work by using the fundamental energy source. So there is a fundamental energy source which creates us, and also we have a energy source within. It is irrespective of all the genders. So is there a relation or comment by both the artists from their work?
Yes,
This is
So,
Marina,
just
please.
abstract
Chavi, you would
question.
like to take that question first?
Yes, I can do. Thanks, Abhinav. Very interesting question. So you are interpreting power as a source of energy to determine gender. I think which Marilina's work very beautifully reflects. But how I have interpreted power in my work is how the societies can be more powerful together. And power could be whether you are talking about inclusion of all the gender at higher administrative positions or across occupations, or having or doing away with discriminations across genders. While you can have legal aspects, you can have enforcements in place which would confirm that all three genders have equal legal rights. But to ensure that those legal rights are being implemented and are being enforced, that responsibility lies on the society, how people
Because we
conceive.
have the
So
same
we
energy within. Because we have the same
yeah,
energy within. Be it any.
power and energy within our societal beings to enforce that idea. We need power of education. We need energy from education. We need power from different perspectives to build more resilient societies. And if you were to technically go into the energy aspect of the biology, I think that Marilina has done beautifully in her work.
Malini, would you like to comment?
Yes, I think Xavi said a few very important things that I see the same way. For me, it's also power in the context of gender is about reminding yourself not to discriminate. And maybe also if you see somebody discriminating other people, you can remind them too. And also to some people who are not sure what gender they are or they want to be, to give power to them to be who they want to be, and so that they don't feel discriminated.
Well, thank you, Maline. And I think so with that, we will come to, I am really sad to say that, but we have to come to an end to the session. But we come with a promise that there are going to be many more sessions like that, because wonderful result and wonderful appreciations we have been receiving from our viewers and guests. Thank you very much, all of you. And with that, there are a number of vote of thanks which has to be given, without whom, this particular project would have not been realized. I'd like to also thank here, first of all, the Foreign Ministry of Austria, then Charity Affairs of Austria. Then in particularly, I would rather like to also thank our artist who could not continue because of COVID-19, Mr. Amit Das, that he started with us, but in between, because of some situations, he could not continue. And we might have some situation where we could work together. And then Marlene, of course, thank you very much, Marlene, for being part of this particular project. Chavi, thank you very much indeed. You need a double thanks for coming into it in the middle, and then at the same time bringing that wonderful project. And thanks to Mr. Kasi, and thanks to Mr. Tyagi, and above all, thanks to all of you, who have really encouraged by their presence and being over here with us. Thank you, everybody. And in case if I have really missed on somebody, please, it's not intentional. I thank everybody, whosoever is there. And with that, Mr. Kapuria, I would like to end. Once we are out of this monstrous situation, things become normalized, we will bring Chavi and at the same time Marlene's products together, and in Delhi and in other part of India, so that it can be observed. And we will require your help at that time. And having said that, I would rather like to invite you also on next Wednesday. We have another webinar on sculpture, which is Rising Together, the title which has been suggested. I would rather say now Chavi wears a different hat, and so she's become a colleague. So, I mean, and this is about how the sculpturist, who is none other than the renowned Mr. Kapuria himself, has done it, and he would be presenting his own work. So having said that, thank you very much. See you next Wednesday, 2:30, same time. And all the best to everybody. Bye, Marlene. Thank you very much. And say bye to Austria. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. Bye.